everybody. Welcome to the Dead Money with Dan Arvin podcast. Been a little slow in getting around to this episode. Sorry about that. Been meditating a lot more lately. And with everything you read about maintaining good health with proper nutrition and sleep and exercise and breath work, you always have to go out of your way to read about the importance and impact significance of meditation. And meditation is more important than all of that other shit combined because it's all encompassing. When you have your meditation in line, everything else just falls in line with it. You'll naturally sleep better and have more energy, which will make you want to exercise more, which will make you want to fuel your body with what it needs. But it's difficult to maintain good meditation habits, and it's not because you don't have time for it. Meditation is free and you don't have to go anywhere, so how could you not have time for it? So it's funny when people say that. They'll pay a fixed amount of money each month to travel so that they can take some class each week, at least once. Or they'll have some gym membership that they also have to get in their car to go drive to. They have time for all that, but somehow meditation they can never find a spot for. So it doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense because it's not because of time, it's because of ego. I don't mean that people are egomaniacs about refusing to meditate. Their ego just doesn't let them do it because when you meditate, your ego finally loses control and disappears, and your ego doesn't want that to happen, so that's what keeps people from maintaining consistency with it. So the ego isn't like this inherently bad thing. It's not bad at all, actually. It's what keeps you alive. If someone were to charge at your face with a spear, your ego tells you, hey, how about you step to the side or something so that you don't get impaled. So that's valuable. Your ego supplies you with plenty of valuable things. You just don't want to misuse it or let it take over you because then it'll screw up everything it touches. Then it'll get everything upside down and do everything else ass backwards where you think it's protecting you, but it's actually just harming you. So there are situations where having your ego is very helpful, but it's dangerous. But when I'm in a good meditation groove, I seem to find myself not giving a shit about anything, but in a good way. It's like I get reminded that doing stuff is overrated and that doing nothing is underrated. And we all live and grow up in this world where we're all taught to do this and to achieve that so that everyone thinks well of you. But it's all just a bunch of made-up egoistic nonsense. And the real secret lies within simple meditation so that your mind can finally rest and that your ego can be shut off and you can just relax and get as much joy as there is to get that life can offer. But anyway, it's enough of all that. So this week, I don't think I'm going to do a ton of hand history analysis. I'll definitely do some. There's always plenty of hands from each session I can talk about, whether they're highly complex or not. But I've been doing better lately, running better. Feeling a lot more like I'm actually competing again, instead of just getting boned. We all wish poker didn't have to be so freaking difficult, but we also have to remember that if not for its difficulty, it wouldn't be able to feel as rewarding as it does when you get across the river, so to speak. And I think all players eventually feel like they got it at some point, and they're now beyond the tortures of ever again having to go through a wickedly rough stretch of consistent uphill battling, or even a rough session. But what goes up must come down. You're going to have your heaters where you make a lot of big hands in a short period of time, and then the opposition does too. You're getting avalanched all of a sudden, and you're just like, what the fuck? I thought I was beyond this. Now it just feels like you're going backwards. But you're not going backwards. You're only going backwards if you start playing bad. Otherwise, there's nothing to even really bat an eye at. But poker is always fun enough as long as it feels like you have a chance. And when you go through these stretches where you don't even feel like you have a chance, you're just like, what am I coming here for? It's just, it's that difficult to make it in poker because there's so much of that. There's so much of these lengthy stretches where you are just a piece of shit and that's it. Everybody takes their turn God moding you. Everybody, you're just like the Halloween candy bowl that just sits out in front of the door because that person didn't want to feel like answering the door 25 times. Everybody just comes, takes as much as they want, and they leave. And you're just a nothing bowl of candy. And those stretches, they start and stop for no reason. You never know when things are just going to turn, and, that's what keeps you coming back, I guess. But lately, I've just been too much of a station. I mean, I have little phases like this sometimes. I don't know why they start, and I don't know why they stop. Sometimes I just make a payoff to, like, I don't know. It's like, make sure I'm still looking at everything the way I'm supposed to. Like, I'm supposed to fold in this spot, and I call, and they just have it. And it's like, yeah, that's why I folded this situation the last 45 times, because they just have it here. So it's almost like I'm renewing my library card every 6 months, only I'm doing this practically every session now at least once, or so it seems. I'll give you a couple examples of where this is just not good poker at all. It's just so bad. I raise with ace-10 of clubs in the hijack. I get a call from this nit on the button. We go heads up, and he's just a bad nit. And there's so many bad nits in the 2-5 pool. Flop comes jack 7-7 rainbow, I think one club. Maybe I should be betting this. I don't know. I check, he checks back. Turns an ace. I check, and he bets 50. Slight overbet, actually. And you know what? I think I should just fold here. I can just fold, and I should just fold, because this is the type of guy who's definitely not going to 3-bet ace-queen, and may not always 3-bet ace-king. And if he wants to bluff, I mean, he's just not going to use this size. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds so stupid. It sounds ridiculous to just fold this spot. But my kicker is not in play, and I'm up against a really bad nit, and this is what makes the bad nits so bad. You're in a situation like this, it's so obvious that you're crushed, and you can just get away from it. You don't have to lose a penny. That's what you can do when you exploit players. This is how badly you can exploit them. You don't have to lose anything in a spot like this. I should just fold here. Why the fuck do I call this? Like, because we know why I call. Because, you can't fold. Oh, yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Because people play that badly. And the more badly people play, the more outside the box, the more thread the needle, the more fancy, the more anything types of stuff you can do and get away with. That's the result of playing against bad players. You don't have to continue to just play normal against them. If they were a normal player, whatever the fuck that even means, but, you can figure it out in the context. If they were a normal player, yeah, you got a call, but, this is not a normal player. He sucks. He's just a bad nit. He sucks. And this is why he sucks, because he's using this big of a size when he's probably got a huge hand. Why the fuck am I calling this? The river is an 8. I check, and he goes, thanks for a little bit, bet 75. And then I pay that off. I end up talking myself into paying that off. I told myself if he bets the river, just fold. Why am I calling? Why do I have to renew my library card against this fucking guy? I mean, he probably wins a little bit from the game because he's just beating fish. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. I mean, and that's a big assumption. I don't even know if this guy wins. Who knows? But this is like giving up a hit to the 9-hitter. Whether you're a Cy Young winner or not. I mean, this is like just giving up a hit to the fucking pitcher. Of course he had ace-king. It's just so bad. How can I play this bad? I'm about to start my 19th year of professional poker. I'm about to start my 19th fucking year. And I'm still making a mistake like this. It's unacceptable. But you know what I thought of after this hand? And this would have been a freaking, this would have been a doozy, and I should have done it. You know what I should have done on the river? I should have folded turn, but you know what I should have done on the river? Jam. Stick 2,000 in there, because we were both deep. You think he's going to call 2,000 with ace-king? No. Over everybody's dead body would he ever think about it. You put him in this kind of spot, he's just going to start thinking about all the nutted hands. Pocket 7s for quads, pocket jacks, aces full even though there's only one combo left. I mean, he ain't calling another 2,000. He's just not going to do it. And then I made one more terrible payoff from this session. I mean, God. I mean, this guy was a dummy. He's a fish. But that doesn't mean you got to give him money in spots where he doesn't deserve it. I saw him flat a open from the button. I opened button to 25. He called small blind. And the big blind, this rock, made it 150. I fold. Small blind calls. And I think that board ran out like Jack Deuce 3 something. I don't know. It didn't get that dramatic. But this small blind guy had ace-5 of spades, okay? And the flop was jack deuce 3 with 1 spade, and he donked into the 3-better, who called. And the turn was nothing, and he donked again, and he was called. The river was nothing, and they went check, check, and the rock checked back aces. So when I see this guy turn over this hand, he calls the big out-of-position 3-bet, or he's out of position, and then he just goes bet, bet, flopping a little bit of equity. He said after the hand, "I thought you were bluffing." Okay. And I saw him do some other spewy things, and then it leads to me making this stupid mistake against him. But there's a guy who limps in, this Middle Eastern guy. He's a fish. I make it 25 with 7s. And Mr. Ace-5, "I thought you were a bluffing guy," he calls. And we go 3 ways, and it comes 6-4 deuce rainbow. And normally I check a flop like this. But with the young fish in the pot, well, I got fish on both sides of me. I mean, I bet 30. And the in-position player, the guy I've been talking about, he calls. And we go heads up. The turn is a jack. Seems kind of a blank. Check, he bets a little under half pot. He bets 60. All right, I call. I'm thinking I probably got to fold river if he bets. And the river is a 3. I check, and he bets 200 quickly until around 250, 260, whatever it is. And hands like 6-5 just got there. 5-4 just got there. If he has some goofy 4-3-2 pair or pocket 3s, I mean, that 3 just completes a number of silly hands that I can beat on the turn, but not now. And he could have flopped a set anyway. Or maybe he hit the jack somehow. I mean, probably not, but stranger things have happened. And he's using a pretty big size, a size I don't normally call. What are the bluffs? I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe he could have like ace-deuce, ace-4, ace-6, ace-3. It's just some silly one-pair hands. I blocked the 7-8 bluffs, but I also blocked the 7-5 value. I mean, I can't be calling this. This is just such a stupid call. And he just has a set of 4s. Just so fucking terrible. I mean, it's not as bad as the hand before it, because fish do show up with fishy hands. Fish do manage to pull bluffs from very bizarre spots in very bizarre ways, unlike the more predictable nits. But even so, it just felt like I was making a bad call, and I don't know why I did it. I mean, there are times where I do call the river. I'm really not sure what I should do. I end up calling and end up winning, and I tell myself in those times, this is why, when you call and lose sometimes, it doesn't necessarily mean it was a terrible decision. I mean, it's very easy to be results-oriented, and when you call and you're right, you're winning a pretty big pot at this point. But this is just a fold. Anyway, moving on to the sillier part of the show today. Last week, a guy complained that he doesn't want to play shorthanded, and the game had 7 players at it. 7. And this guy wasn't moaning and groaning about anything else before this. He seemed to be in jolly spirits otherwise, so it was quite surprising to hear him say that. Now, the win-2-5 was reduced to being 8-handed a while ago by now. I mean, I don't remember how long, but it's got to be at least a year. And you can't get reduced rake until you're down to 5 players. It was 6 when it was 9-handed, now it's 5 since it's 8-handed. So we were not 1, but 2 players away from being able to request reduced rake. The game was full. Every seat was taken, just 1 player was away. And we have a guy claiming that this game is short and that he doesn't want to play. He was continuing to play. He was just voicing his disapproval of the situation, I guess. Okay. But everybody was just like, what? Then there comes a hand where someone raises. I had some trash hand in the small blind, but as I was folding, I said, I don't play this short-handed. And everyone laughed. And even though it's a comment that doesn't really make any sense at all, and I knew that at the time I said that, because short-handed means you're supposed to play more hands, not less, still I said it anyway, because how can you claim the game is too short when there's only 1 less player dealt in than the max? God, I mean, this is almost like saying I'm not going out to see a movie unless I have the entire theater to myself. Now, in that instance, it's like, the opposite type of complaint, but you get the idea. So we had more trouble again with players not speaking English at the table. I mentioned one before. There was a young Middle Eastern guy in the game to my right, and a couple seats to my left, his buddy was also in the game, and these 2 would not stop. The dealer said, multiple dealers like told them like, calmly and nicely like, hey guys, English only at the table. You can't speak English. But all we hear back and forth nonstop. I don't know where these fucking guys were from, and this is not a fucking racist imitation. That's what they sounded like. And I know they're probably just talking bullshit, but A, I don't know that, and B, I don't care. This is fucking annoying. I don't want to fucking listen to this. So finally I got up, and I told the shift supervisor, like, these two guys, seats 1 and 4, they won't stop. And they were doing it during hands, too. I mean, that is a huge no-no. You don't know what the fuck they're saying to each other. I mean, are they cheating? Probably not. They look too dumb to know how to cheat, but it's not the point. You can't fucking do this. So I told her, wait a minute before you come over, and then just like, because I don't want to look like a snitch, even though I have every right to be a snitch. I just don't want to chase these guys out of the game. I just don't want to put a fucking sign on my back, but I want this shit to stop already. So she comes by, she's hanging by the table and just waiting to hear them do it again. And after a couple of minutes, they do. And then she cuts right in and says, okay, guys, like you got to talk English the whole time, whether it's during a hand, in between hands, it doesn't matter. So they finally stopped for once again a couple of minutes. Oh, God. I mean, I just was face palming. I'm like, all right, I give up. I wasn't getting the sense of this arrogant entitlement from these guys, as I often do from people who refuse to speak English. It didn't give that same arrogant, obnoxious feel, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is they're still babbling on, and it's still driving me fucking crazy. But I did finally cooler somebody. This guy comes over from another game, and I don't know if it was a must move or not, but this guy was actually playing kind of good. I mean, I'm not going to go as far to say that I was impressed yet because he wasn't there for that long, but it seemed like in a few spots that he was thinking about things the way you should be thinking about them. So I took note of that. But he was usually opening to 20, and then a couple times I noticed he opened to 15, and then when this hand comes up, he opens to 15. One of the Middle Eastern anti-English speaking fish calls 15. I got 7s. I'm getting towards the end of the session. I had just gone outside and smoked a joint, and I was about to leave, and I was getting paranoid, and I knew I got to get out of here, and I 3-bet to 70, and they both call. And I'm telling myself, all right, fuck, man, I got to get out of here, but all right, just do what you got to do. And the flop comes. Ace 7-6, 2 diamonds. The original razor checked, and the fish opens the door for me nice and wide, bets 60. And 210. He's not deep at all, so I just basically min-raised. I made it 130, and then we get the beautiful news. We get a huge check raise to 600 from the other guy. Fish folds, it's back to me, and now I'm thinking about Vegas and the fucking Mirage, but he's gonna have to call another like 1,600 if I jam, because we were both deep. We were both about 2,300 deep when this hand started. And yeah, of course, I want to 4-bet all in. But if I 4-bet all in, I just feel like it's going to be so fucking obvious I have a set. He's probably just going to put me on aces. But I'm thinking two things. One, if he has a combo draw like 9-8 of diamonds, which he probably doesn't. He probably just has 6s. If he has a combo and he folds, well, first of all, that's great. If I get it in against that hand, all right, fine. At least I'm getting the max for all the times I hold. And if he has a set of 6s, I mean, we haven't been playing a lot. I mean, no way is he going to fold. There's just no way. No one does. It'd be easy enough for him to think, oh, he could just have ace-king. He thinks I have a draw, and he's just going buck wild with it, and I got him dead. So I debated this because I just thought it would be so obvious. But you know what? When you got somebody cold deck, just put the stack in. And that's what I did. The all-in was only a little bit more than the pot size. I mean, the pot size, by the time I match his 600, the pot's over 1,400 at this point. My jam was probably a little over 1,600. And he snap calls, and he's got 6s, and I hold. And the board ran out clean. But, had I just called, and the turn is a 3 of diamonds or a deuce of diamonds, I mean, this could really slow down the action. So it's not like I made this genius shove. It's just, I'm just glad I thought about everything. Glad I went over all the options and instead of just mindlessly shoving. And look, I mean, I'm not going to give myself a pat on the back for cold decking somebody, because if I had aces and sevens there, oh God, would this have been a terrible spot to be in, because I definitely get up to this flop with a 7 suited. I would definitely 3-bet that situation. And if I'm put in this spot, you're going to be thinking you lose to 6s and 7s, but you also have 7-6 completely fucked, and it'd be tough. Now, I could get to this flop with ace-6 suited as well, and I think that's a much easier fold, but a 7 suited, I don't know. I suppose I could have gone either way on that, but probably lean towards fold. Glad I didn't have to make that decision, though. But it was just interesting that I got to get this all in on the flop without any questions asked, because it was a 3-bet pot, and I know most of the regs, they're just going to flat 7s pre and never think about it. Now, they're going to get to this flop. Let's just assume it's 3 ways anyway. Instead of having over 200 in the pot, they're going to have, about 50. And I'm not saying they wouldn't get the stack in at some point anyway and stack the guy anyway, especially since the turn card was clean. It didn't complete any draws. But we got all in on the flop. And I'm not saying 7s versus 6s in a single raise pot could have gotten all in on the flop in this situation too, even being as deep as they were, but it definitely would not have been as easy as it was in my situation, where the guy checked 3-bets to 600. So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of ways another reg may have missed out on this, because if they didn't get all of the money in on the flop because they didn't 3-bet pre and they get a bad turn card, they're still going to win a nice sized pot, but they wouldn't get the max. They wouldn't get everything, because they're over 2,200 deep, and it's tough to get everything unless you have a 3-bet pot built. So, I felt like I made my own luck a little bit in this situation, because I had 3-bet pre, knowing his 15 was below his 20. It could be a weaker hand this time, and it happened to be 6s when I had 7s. Now, if he had made it 20 and the guy called, would I have 3-bet anyway? Yeah, very often I would have. But I felt even safer about it this time. And the pool, the regs, they just don't 3-bet these middle pairs. They don't 3-bet hardly anything in this configuration. At least not when there's an early position raise. And people open pretty wide, in my opinion. When you consider how little they 3-bet and how little they 4-bet, they open very, very wide. Like, if you're not going to 3-bet that much, and if you're not going to 4-bet that much, then you shouldn't open that wide either. So they just have this, they got all this disfigurement going on with how they play their pre-flop ranges. Nevertheless, no matter how you cut this, it felt good to be on the right side of a cooler. I mean, I feel like, at least in the 2-5 pool, I've been on the wrong end of being oversetted a hell of a lot more than I've been on the right side. I mean, I think I've closed the gap a little bit the last few years, but I had a stretch. I don't know how many times it happened. I don't know how many years it spanned, but it felt like 12, 13 times in a row it happened, and I was on the wrong side every single time. And it started to get me wondering, am I playing these small medium pairs too much? Is that why I'm never catching this break? And the answer is, I don't think so. I mean, I don't see what people are folding, but I mean, everybody's jerking themselves off with their fucking set minds. Everybody's peeling in position, out of position. I mean, they're thinking about, 1 out of 7.5, 1 out of 8 times you flop a set. Yes, that's how often you flop a set. 1 out of 7.5, I think it is. That's just how often you get a set. Any set. The board could be anything. But to stack the guy with a set, it has to be perfect, and that is not 1 out of 7.5. It's not even close to that. If you call 3-bet out of position, and you got 7s, and he has jacks, and it comes like ace, queen, 7, how much money do you think you're going to win? Or even if it's queen, 7-5, even if there's just one overcard, how big do you expect this pot to get? It's got to be perfect. And these small medium pairs are just not that fucking awesome. So on to the next session. A lot of action all day long. Very first hand, there was an early position limp. There was a raise to 20. I 3-bet to 70 with 10s, and the button, this 50-something looking white guy, cold 4-bets to 330. Fucking gigantic. Folds back to me. It's an automatic fold. But he showed ace-king. Ace-king off. That's a surprise, but that's also the weakest hand he's going to show up with here. So it's not as if my equity isn't completely fucked. He just happened to have the hand I'm slightly ahead of. But then a few hours later, There's a raise to 15. I 3-bet queens to 50, and now this guy cold 4-bets again. This time he's out of position because he's a small blind. He makes it 225. Still a big 4-bet. Comes back to me, and in these last few years, God, how many times have I folded queens before the flop without even thinking about it? And oftentimes I would in this spot also, because the cold 4-bet ranges are just so tight. They're so insanely tight. There's not even a cold 4-bet range at all. It's just aces or kings. And the guy did seem a little bit more wide-eyed this time. He did seem a little like he was breathing kind of hard. I mean, it just seemed like maybe he has it this time, but we're both very deep. So I call, and the flop comes 9 high, and I guess the pot is about 460 this time, and he bets 120, and I didn't think he would keep barreling, so I raised to 320, and he calls, so now I think, all right, shut down. Turns another 9, check, river's a brick, and I thought he would bet, and I was just going to fold to his river bet, but he checked the river, so now that started having me wondering, maybe he doesn't have aces or kings. I mean, I was pretty sure he did when he called the flop, but I can never resist value owning myself, so the pot had 1,100, I bet 200, and he called, and he had kings. So I lost exactly 149 big blinds in this hand, and I feel that's a lot bigger than I should normally be losing with even this setup of queens versus kings. I mean, yeah, you'd think you'd lose a lot in this situation, but when you consider how tight the ranges are pre-flop, especially when they're 4-betting, or God forbid 5-betting, I mean, it's like there's just no reason to put that much money in. I mean, I guess I just convinced myself maybe he just has jacks. Maybe he'll make a crying call on the river with thinking I have tens, you know. Maybe I'm being a little hard on myself here, but I don't know. It was just, it worked out for him in these two situations that day. When he got me to fold tens, he had ace-king. And when I have queens, now he has kings. So, good for him. His buddy was in the game as well. And his buddy, I think, was no better than he was. He had opened to 30 from early position, and I had ace-jack suited in the small blind, and 30 is a big open, and I folded, but then I realized after, I don't even know if I'd seen this guy open yet. You know, I'd see him 3-bet, I'd seen him call raises, I'd seen him limp. I don't know if I had actually seen him open anything, so I don't know if 30 is unusual for him. Now, I probably should just call with the ace-jack suited. I mean, it could be a bad situation, but I should have a little faith in myself to play after the flop. And I do have these like really nitty moments sometimes, and you definitely call this one of them. And 6x was a pretty standard open for him. He was doing it quite a bit after that, and he was folding into 3-bets. So, probably a mistake that time. I mean, unless I was lucky and he had a big hand, but it doesn't matter. I saw him open to 15 or 20 a couple other times too, but he was usually doing 30. And then I started 3-betting him. I moved to his, I moved seats, put him on my right, and I started 3-betting him. And after by like the third time, and it wasn't like I was doing it relentlessly. I mean, there were plenty of times he opened and I folded, but I think maybe by like the third time, he's like, you're 3-betting me a lot. And he wasn't saying it like he was mad. I mean, he was having a good time. He was winning. But then we get to a straddled pot, and he opens 30 again. So that should make you want to 3-bet him even wider. But then, for some reason, I called this time with pocket 8s, and we go 5 ways. Now, there were some fishy players behind me, so, like, it wasn't like I did it for nothing. But for some reason, I just don't want to 3-bet this guy again. Instead, I let the pot go 5 ways. I'm in the middle, I think. And it comes Jack 5-6, 2 clubs. I don't have a club. He bets 50 into 150. I mean, I don't understand why he's picking this size. It was, what range of hands is he going to do it with? I didn't think he would do that with a jack or better than that. I just think I have him beat, but a couple guys had checked him. You don't know about anybody else. I raised to 160, and thankfully they folded. He thinks for a while and calls. Turn was like a 4, so I have a gut shot now, and then blockers to the nuts. He checks, and I think I bet 340 into 470, and he folded, and yeah, okay, I mean, I got a good result this time, but it just reminded me, going multi-way sucks. There are so many things that can go wrong. Like just for instance, in this spot where I'm raising him on the flop, 2 guys have checked him. I mean, both of them could have flopped big hands. I mean, you could get a cold call from somebody. I mean, there's just so many fucking things that can go wrong. And when I was playing 2-5 a lot from like 2016 into 2017, you know, only a little over a year, I was going multi-way 4 or 5 ways like all the time. And I wasn't winning nearly as much, and this is why. I mean, it's just there's so many things that have to break your way for you to be winning. Whereas if you 3-bet a lot more, and you get it heads up, in position, or even not in position. Either way, you could just win it pre, and you don't have to pay rake. Or you just play the pot heads up, and you're retaining way more equity as you would playing 3, 4, 5 ways, and you're the aggressor. I mean, I flex my dick a lot here about how I win so much more than everybody else, but it's mostly just to talk about what is capable of being done to this player pool. No one is good. Not by my standards. I mean, I'm willing to 3-bet and triple it off and jam river at any time. And it can go days without it happening. I don't just do this recklessly. The situation has to be perfect since, it is a big move you're making. You don't want to just do it without thinking about why you're doing it. But this is just the opposite of what so many players are thinking, including winners. Their first order of business is to just try and make big hands and try and crush people. And it's true that the absolute most money is probably made by getting people to pay you in spots where they think you're bluffing a lot more often than you actually are, but that is still just one area of the game, even if it occupies the biggest piece of the 2-5 money-making pie graph. And these people are nits. So to really get over on these people, it's just to not pay them off when they have it and to bluff them when they don't. And of course to firmly control your tilt, but that goes without saying. And that's another thing I feel like I'm getting a little too sloppy with lately. I mean, I'm not turning into a total monkey. I'm feeling the rage in me a lot more easily lately than I used to. And even if you don't let it affect your decisions that much, it still sucks to feel that way. And there's no way you can ever feel tilted without it impacting your thought processes and decisions at least a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying it knocks you down from being a big winner to a loser, but you are compromised. So you are more likely to miss something, no matter how small, and missing something small isn't small because wins and losses and the big results we all want, I mean, they're often decided on the margins. I mean, that goes for anything majorly competitive, whether it's professional sports or poker. So now I got a couple of sick stories to tell. I mean, going a little bit back to the silly part, I guess. There's this reg I play with who routinely does a very poor job of protecting his cards. He lifts his cards way too high. And I'm bum hunting him now to put him on my right. I don't lean over and look. I just sit there and see if he's careless. And if he is, all right, now it's an edge. I mean, fuck him. This guy sun runs me anyway. So I'm in a game with him, and he usually buys in 100 bigs, but when this hand started, he had at least 200, and he open limps pocket nines under the gun. So I don't know if he just wants to keep pots small when he's deep, or if he just doesn't want to inflate pots and jeopardize his win. Whatever the reason is, this is not something he would ever do if he was 100 big blinds deep. So he open limps nines, and I got ace-10 of spades. And I think I made it 25, and the big blind calls. And the big blind was this really big fish, this young, nice white kid who said he had never played in a casino before, and it had showed based on how he was playing. So he calls big blind, pocket nines calls, and I totally whiff the flop. It comes king, king, 4, 2 hearts, so I just got nothing. Backdoor straight draw, that's it. They check. I bet 30. Big blind folds, pocket nines calls. Perfect. Turn is a 7 of hearts, I think. He has a heart. He checks. I bet 125, I think, into 130, or I bet 130 into 125. I don't know. I probably could have bet more. He calls right away. I know he's going to call right away. This guy loves to station me, and I never fucking have anything, and he seems to have a set every time we play a pot. And now I know literally exactly what he has, and I'm going to jam every river except a 9, obviously. I was thinking even if a king comes, that's pretty awkward, but I'm probably going to jam anyway. He'll have a small full house, but I don't think he's going to want to just stack off with it after I've gone bet and shipped this river with him check calling me down. So I don't love a king, but I think it's fine. If a heart comes and he makes his little flush, he's not calling a fucking 2.5x shove or whatever it would have been at that point. Pot is up to 380 now, I guess. The only river I'm not going massive on are aces or 10s. Give me the best hand, but he doesn't hit his flush. So the river is, he check calls the turn, and the river is a 9. Even if I know what the guy has, he just continues to fucking sun run. You know what he does? He leads into me for more than 2 times the pot. He bet at least it wouldn't have been 2x pot, but he bet at least 600. He leads with a huge overbet, and I just snap folded. But you know what I should have done? I was so tilted I snap folded, but what I should have done is tanked and had the clock called on me and gone through this whole speech about, oh, I want to call you so bad, or, oh, if you had checked, I was going to blast. Like, I should have done all these things to fucking tilt him, make him think he was about to get a big bet, and instead now he could wind up with nothing, and he's going to wind up with nothing, but cock tease him. I should have just fucking cock teased him for as long as I could. That's what I should have done. Instead, I just snap folded. And I'm watching him as he's taking the pot, and he looks a little disappointed, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like, yeah. What you should have done is protected your hands. Instead, you're getting completely fucking manhandled in this situation, but you still hit your fucking two-outer. This was just so criminal. God. And then even crazier than this, a few days later, a friend tells me a story. He's playing 1-3 of the aria. He's got a whale on his right, and they're deep. And the whale opens in middle position, and the whale fails to protect his hand, and he has 9-8 offsuit. My friend 3-bets him with 7-6 offsuit, and they go heads up. And that flop comes ace-8-4, I think, rainbow. So he's got a gut shot to the nuts, but the guy is second pair, got an ace out there. The whale bets, my friend calls. The turn is another ace. The whale bets, my friend calls. The river is an 8. There are now aces and 8s out there. And I think the pot had 580 at this point. And the whale bets, again, 250, kind of big, considering his hand and considering everything about this situation. Pretty big bet. So my friend jams. Now his jam wasn't particularly big, but it is a jam. It was another 400 on top. And this whale sighs and tanks and does the whole show and fucking calls. And immediately turned his hand over, so my friend got to muck. I mean, he would have mucked. He told me he would have mucked anyway if the guy had just called him, because you have to. You already know what's going on here. So, wow. I mean, look, he didn't cheat, neither did I. But as you can see, there's no shortage of variance even in these situations. Now, I would say his result was even more criminal than mine because he lost a lot more big blinds in the hand. And this is a guy who doesn't normally play 1-3. I told him, well, look, at least that's the number one thing you can take away from this. At least it only happened at 1-3. But holy shit. I mean, you see how you win so much money from people because you see the kinds of calls they make. I mean, how is this guy not turning over an ace in this situation? He 3-bets pre, gets an ace-high flop, calls the flop bet, calls the turn bet, jams the river bet. How often do you think calling with the bottom boat there is gonna win? But this is what happens. I mean, you get payoffs in spots and people get to muck. You don't know what they're calling you with sometimes. I mean, yeah, sometimes you know it's going to be a hand they should probably call with, but how many times it isn't? I mean, that is just unbelievable. And, say what you want about he could have raised flop or turn. And I agree. I mean, I think if I was playing this hand, I would have also raised flop or turn. I think I would have done something aggressive before the river. But say what you want about all that. If this guy doesn't improve again on the river, if he doesn't hit another 8, this is not going to fail. I mean, even if another ace comes, it was kind of a similar situation to mine in some respects. Even if another ace comes and there's 3 of a kind out there, 3, instead of 3 kings, 3 aces, it's going to be a lot harder for him to think my friend has an ace, but he also could think he could lose to kings or queens. But I also think psychologically, his hand not improving a second time could deter him from stacking off. So that is just unfucking real that he lost that hand as much as he did in the manner that he did. And the funniest part of all is after the whale turned his hand over, someone accused the whale of seeing my friend's hand when it was the opposite. And if my friend hadn't seen the whale's hand, obviously he doesn't even get involved. He had 7-6 offsuit and there was a middle position raise. Now there have been times where I've seen my neighbor's hand, but there's a lot of players behind me, and I have a trashy hand, and I just don't even go after the spot because there's just so many things that can go wrong. But wow, I mean, that is just a jaw-dropping. I mean, you talk about, there's bad beats, and then there's this. When I'm in these situations where I'm bluffing guys who I know what their hand is and they have me beat, I'm not usually trying too hard to get the max from it. I kind of just want to end this hand sort of as soon as possible, sort of. Obviously it's set up on a tee for you to get everything, but I kind of just don't want anything to go wrong at this point. It's already free money I'm getting, but like they say, nothing's ever free. So one last hand to go over, one last situation. Squeaky was in the game again over the weekend. He was on my left. And he gets into this hand with this older Asian woman with some nice bling on her hands, and she's deep. I didn't pay attention to the whole hand, but I know that he overbet the river. I think he bet 400. This pot wasn't like enormous, but he bet very big on the river. There were 3 diamonds out there. She tanks and tanks and tanks and folds, and he shows her a bluff. He showed her ace-5 offsuit. He had a pair of 5s with the ace of diamonds. And someone said they thought she folded a small flush. He thought he saw a diamond flash as she was mucking her cards. And I thought, what? No fucking way she folded a flush. It was only $400. I mean, I know it's an overbet, but people don't fold those hands. They just pay it off. They should pay it off. This does not look like somebody who would not pay off in that spot. So I couldn't believe that she folded a flush, but then I also thought, well, what the hell is she thinking about then? Like, she going to call with 1 pair and no diamond in this situation? I mean, it was bizarre. But now Squeaky starts saying how, he's got her set up now. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, you still got to get the spot, but yeah, you're right. The stage is set. And then I'd say a half hour later, he gets into another pot with her, a single raise pot. The flop come ace-7-7, 2 diamonds. She bets, he calls. The turn was another 7, so there's 3 7s. And she pots like 130, and he snap jams like 1,500. And I thought initially at first on the flop, like, oh, I guess he doesn't have a 7 because he didn't raise. But then I thought after he jammed the turn, I'm like, okay, now, all right, I guess he did have a 7 because he's not doing this without a 7. There's no way, there's no how he's doing this with just an ace. And she's thinking, and she's thinking, and she's thinking, and I'm thinking, why do I know this woman is just going to punt $1,500 to this guy because he showed her a bluff before? He's going all in for like fucking 5 times the pot. The board is ace-7-7-7. What do you think he's going to show up with? Now, if she has aces full, which she's not going to have, probably not going to have aces full, but if she did have aces full, yeah, I can see this being a very strange decision to have to make, thinking is the guy just going out of his mind with just an ace, which if he is, you got him beat. But if she has just an ace, you are chopping or he has you dead. You are chopping or he has you dead. And now you have to call 5 times the size. And she calls him. And he gets her. Of course he's got 9-7 suited and he flops fucking 3 7s and then turns quads. I mean, he's like, yep. He's like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right. Like, you set her up. You did everything right. You baited her with the bluff and, now you're over jamming. But what the fuck is this woman doing? How off the rails can you fucking come? The guy showed you a bluff. This is the situation where they get you. I mean, why is she potting the turn? I mean, it's like the board has 3 of a kind on it. What are you trying to get value from? You think he's going to call you with a flush draw? The board has 3 of a kind on it. What are you trying to do? You think he's just going to call you down with like pocket 10s when you're just going blast on ace-7-7-7? But this goes back to what I said before. I mean, it's just getting people to think you're bluffing in spots that you're not going to be bluffing in ever. I'm not saying he wouldn't have tried bluffing her again, but when he's doing this, when he's jamming $1,500 over a $130 bet on the turn into a pot that's way, million times smaller than his jam in this run out of ace-7-7-7, lady, what do you think he's going to turn over? I mean, I know I talked about some bad calls I made earlier in the show. I don't do it for these kinds of numbers. I mean, it's like when the bets are enormous, yeah, I mean, I'm going to get away just about every time. Where I make these fuck-ups are in these smaller medium situations, and they're more significant than they seem because they come up so often. So you can't be fucking those up either. But, oh my God, I mean, it's like, imagine if she did fold a flush before, because he went like a little over 2x on the river, or maybe not even 2x, he bets 400. He told me he overbet the turn too, but Squeaky bets 400 on the river into like 200, 250. She folded a flush? We don't know this. She folded a flush potentially because someone insisted they saw a diamond. I mean, maybe she had a pair and a blocker. I can't imagine that woman folded a flush. But either way, who fucking cares? I was just so disgusted by that because even if I had showed the bluff and found myself in the same situation, I would not have played it this way. I would have called the turn, let her blast the river again, and then shove and then let her make a decision. And yeah, maybe you get the call then. But it just blew me away at how bad people can play. Sometimes you watch people and you think that they're like maybe like sort of somewhat marginally competent and they're not like completely awful. But then you see what happens to them, what they do to themselves in these spots that really aren't especially challenging. I mean, you see what hands they show up, you see what decisions they make, and then you realize, okay, I gave this person way too much credit before, gave them way too much of the benefit because it was just a tiny sample size of like maybe 40 to 60 hands or maybe 80 to 90 hands. I mean, it's nothing. When these fish sit down, the real fish, not like the sort of fish, but like the fish, it's amazing how fast they lose their money when things don't just run so pure for them. They can make themselves appear to be somewhat competent for a few hours if they're just running totally pure. But the moment you flip that switch, I mean, we're not even talking about coolers here. That hand is not a cooler. It's not even close to a cooler. The guy just jammed 1,500 into 300 with 3 sevens out there. You're in chopper beat territory. How is this a cooler? How is that a cooler? So, I don't know how Squeaky does each year. I mean, a lot of people insist he loses a lot, and maybe he does. I don't know. But one thing he does well is he runs a pretty good offense, is when he has these mediocre players beat, he gets what he wants quite often because he gets on their nerves with his constant squeaky blah, blah, blah and showing bluffs and never shuts up. I mean, he gets them to do what he wants when he has his best hand. I mean, as long as they don't got absolutely nothing, more often than not, he's getting called. And, there's a lot of different skills and intangibles you can have in poker, and losing players, whether he is one or not, are still going to have their moments because there are some things they do well. I mean, it's not often you come across somebody who has just no clue about anything and can't do a single thing right. That's pretty hard to find. Even at 1-3, that's pretty hard to find. And 1-3 is just an incredibly soft pool. I mean, I was talking with somebody the other day. There is a gigantic, one of the biggest leaps you can make from going from one stake to the next is going from 1-3 at the win specifically to the win 2-5. The win 2-5 might be the toughest 2-5 in the country. But the win 1-3, I mean, it's a 1-3 game. Nobody's like even remotely competent. It's just like playing a $400 tournament field. And then you go up to the win 2-5 and it's just, there's not that many good players in my opinion, but like the players are just very nitty. They're very disciplined, I guess. I mean, disciplined in a way. They're really not disciplined, but because they're all making the same mistakes, nobody's getting taken advantage of. So it's not such a big deal. But they're turning over the nuts in every big pot. And for the most part, they don't overvalue hands because they don't even get the max value for the good hands they do have. They don't try to get thin value. So they're not going to overvalue a hand. But yeah, jumping from the win 1-3 to the win 2-5 is one of the biggest leaps you can make. For a while, I've believed that just in general, jumping from 2-5 to 5-10, like that's the biggest jump because the player pool gets way smaller and now the regs are way better. I mean, and that still might be the biggest leap. But win 1-3 to win 2-5, wow. It's like two different freaking, it's like it's a whole new dimension. But all right, I think that'll do for this week. So I'll get back out there for some more sessions and I'll talk to you again soon. We'll see you next time.